And I'm gonna just wait like 1 more minute.
No problem. Yeah, but like I said, I made you a co-host, so also if there's any slides you want to share or any images or the stuff you want to drop, you can share it or I can share it, no problem, while you speak on it. And we also encourage, we are setting up the stipend, but we also want to support you out throughout the month. So if there's like a Cash App, we want people to support you directly. So if you want to drop your Cash App or drop your PayPal, Venmo, whatever payment makes most sense for you, or a donation link, we can put it in the chat. We'll make sure it gets accompanied with all the other promotion we do during the month.
Thank you so much. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's how we started this. This started out, I mean, I have a whole spiel that I do, but basically to give it the rundown, the basic teal deer, the project of Radical Truth Teller started as supporting activists out of Ferguson. And speaking for people who are going to hear this recording later, and there's reason, the purpose of this is that essentially it would make it so people who are doing the work on the ground who don't normally get recognized get support, not just like IOU here or a little kind of like verbal praise, but actually like material support. People putting their money where their mouth is. And now, since we've been doing that for now almost 10 years, we are now morphed into this project.
Wow, that's amazing.
All right, so just in the interest of your time and everyone's time, more people will be filtering in, but I'm David Ragland. I just want to welcome you all and congratulate Dr. Tiffany Crutcher for her work and appreciation of her work, and also just ground us a little bit.
Thank you.
And I want to begin. There's another David Ragland here.
Hold on for a second.
I want to begin by just honoring our ancestors and those who got us here, and honoring those intentional and unintentional martyrs who work in life. We look to those who struggled for us, particularly as this is Black August. Honoring all the freedom fighters who came before us. And honoring the indigenous ancestors in the land on which we sit and stand and have foundation, and our lives are supported. And just share a little bit about our work. The Truth Telling Project was started out of the Ferguson uprising in August of 2014. And we began as a truth process, really looking at police violence and hearing from people who have been victimized by police violence. So our work has began in supporting families and continued in that, but also in transitioning to a better society, a better world. A lot of our work now is rooted in reparations. And as Josh mentioned earlier, that this project began because we were in Ferguson and doing our work within and alongside a movement. And we wanted to support our comrades in struggle. And we knew that in order to do this work, people had to be resourced. And so this began as support an activist and morphed into the Radical Truth Telling. And the award is dedicated to people who speak the truth unapologetically in their work, in their lives, and are unconditional about telling the truth, despite what comes, what you're gonna do anyway. So with that said, I just wanna welcome you all and again, honor Dr. Tiffany Crutcher. I'm gonna mute my camera and Josh is gonna say a little bit more and bring us in and welcome everyone.
Thank you, Dave. As you know, you touched on, and as I was talking about before, my name is Josh Scarborough. I am an operation manager with the Truth Telling Project. I want to thank you all for coming out tonight. We have a Radical Truth Teller at the first Thursday of every month. This month we are doing a special for Black August. We have 2 Radical Truth Tellers. One on this Thursday. We'll have another one next Thursday. But tonight, it's about Dr. Crutcher, and this is a part of our process and a part of our project in that we built this to help support grassroots organizers in 2014 in the wake of the murder of Mike Brown. And the aim of this mobilization is to uplift and to amplify the voices of those who experience police brutality and those who are fighting against state violence and oppression. And as a part of the organizing, we realized that those people on the ground who are making change were often doing it without any support, emotional, financial, political. In order to bolster that movement, we began to support our activist program. So tonight, as a part of that program, we are honoring Dr. Crutcher. She is here to speak about her work and expound on the fight against structural racism under the auspices of state power. Dr. Crutcher is a native of Tulsa, Oklahoma, who was thrust into the national spotlight following the death of her twin brother, Terrence Crutcher, who was shot by a police officer in Tulsa while holding his hands in the air. The murder of her brother compelled Tiffany to speak out against police brutality, particularly the killing of unarmed Black men. She has chosen to turn her personal tragedy into an opportunity to bridge fear and mistrust and help transform a justice system that has perpetuated injustice dating back to the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, when white rioters burned down her great-grandmother's prosperous community of Black Wall Street. Dr. Crutcher has remained committed to organizing coalitions throughout the country that can promote the interests of minority communities. As she will speak to today, Dr. Crutcher is the founder of the Terrence Crutcher Foundation, whose primary focus is criminal justice and policing reform, providing scholarships to African-American students, community and youth development, and policy advocacy. I'm going to turn it over to you, Dr. Crutcher. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Josh, and to David, and just to everyone that I see on the screen that I've developed a relationship with over the years through this journey and this fight for justice and liberation. I'm humbled right now and truly honored that you all even saw me and that you thought about me to bestow this honor on me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. When I think about radical truth telling, I think about a quote by Fannie Lou Hamer, and that quote, you've heard it before, and it says, she said, sometimes it seems like to tell the truth today is to run the risk of being killed. But if I fall, I will fall 5 foot 4 inches. I'm that tall. Forward in the fight for my freedom. And I think I've lived by that quote. Back in 2016, my twin brother was killed at the hands of a law enforcement officer here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with his hands in the air, unarmed. He was leaving school. They found gospel CDs and his school books in the car. Terrence was struggling with addiction, and this was his way out. He was actually fighting for his freedom, trying to better his life through education. And he went to school that Friday and they canceled his class. He didn't know they had canceled the class due to low enrollment. And I'm not sure if that triggered him, if that upset him, if that made him sad. But he left and his car stalled or broke down. I don't know all of the details, but what I do know is in that very moment, someone who was paid to protect and serve pulled out her weapon, and someone else pulled out the taser. And a mob of white police officers started running toward my twin brother. There was a helicopter looming over Terrence in that particular scene, as if he had murdered somebody, as if he had kill, I mean, you know, I just don't know why all of the force. And that police officer in the helicopter said that my twin looked like a bad dude from far up in the air. He was tased and shot simultaneously and tased again. And he laid there and not one police officer rendered aid. They actually trampled over him and they ran to go check on Betty Jo Shelby to see if she was okay. And he took his last breath alone. What people didn't know, Terrence had a prosthetic eye, and her claim was like, oh, he was tracking and targeting me. What people didn't know is that Terrence couldn't hear in his right ear. And I often sit back and think about those last few seconds and what he was thinking. If she thought he was having a mental health breakdown or high on something, I often think about what he was thinking when he heard all of this chaos coming towards him when he just simply needed help. But he got a bullet. And I can't think about the police violence or help but think about the state violence that did the same thing in 1921 when my great-grandmother had to flee in fear of her life. It was the same police department here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that shot indiscriminately into a community of Black prosperous individuals, Black men with their hands in the air like Dr. A.C. Jackson. Airplanes loomed over just like the helicopter loomed over my brother and dropped bombs on its own soil. First aid workers didn't render aid. The same police department, almost 100 years later, that killed my twin. So police violence and generational trauma has reverberated through my family's history. And the parallels are so stark because there's been no repair, no respect, no restitution for what happened to my great-grandmother's community. And there's been no repair, no respect, or no restitution for what happened to my family almost 100 years later. A judge dismissed the city of Tulsa from my brother's case. A judge just dismissed the city of Tulsa from the 3 last known living survivors from their reparations case. Tulsa is out of order. And when I think about what Fannie Lou Hamer said, it seems like to tell the truth is to run the risk of being killed, and not just physically at times, but sometimes mentally and emotionally. They kill you slowly. You get blackballed for telling the truth, for speaking up and speaking out. You get blackballed from funding, from people who say that Black Lives Matter. If you don't go along to get along, but what we decided here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a group of us, that we won't take injustice lying down lightly. We cannot give up the fight for justice and liberation. And so I decided that when Betty Shelby was acquitted after 9 hours of deliberation, I had to figure out how to turn my pain into purpose, my anger into advocacy. And I promise every single day I vacillate between peace and burning this mother down. I vacillate, and then I had to turn my fear into faith in order to get up and fight another day. That is what we've done here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And so I started the Terrence Crutcher Foundation in my twin's name. And this September 16th, on the anniversary of his death, will be 7 years that I left my clinical practice in Montgomery, Alabama, took my white coat off, took my blazer off, to get on the front lines, to make sure that what happened to Terrence, that it doesn't happen to Terrence Jr., his little boy, or his daughters, or Black and brown kids across this country. And we started the foundation to, number one, advance policy and disrupt policy violence that's been plaguing Black people since the beginning of time. We decided to strengthen communities through so many things that we're doing. I won't bore you, just go to our website. I'm gonna drop it in the link, but we're doing youth programs, restorative justice programs. You know, we just bought a building trying to recreate and rebuild Black Wall Street a 65,000 square foot building on the northern boundary of the historic Greenwood District, trying to follow the blueprint that O.W. Gurley left for us and our ancestors. We're doing a lot. We're paying off fines and fees for mothers who's been impacted by the criminal legal system. We're actually carving out pathways for economic opportunity and education and training pathways. We're working on housing at the intersection of incarceration. And right there in the center of our work, we honor the legacy of our ancestors. So I bring into this space Rebecca Brown Crutcher. I bring into this space Terrence Crutcher. I bring into this space so many people, Olivia Hooker, Otis T. Clark, Wes Young, who came before me, Eddie Faye Gates. I bring into this space, and so we honor them. You know, we wake up and this is who we do this for. And I also want to bring into this space, you know, we talk about the political prisoners this month, and we should be talking about them every single day. And I know we do, but this is the month that we set aside. But I want to talk about Julius Jones, who I believe is a political prisoner right now, who was on death row, and we fought like hell to make sure that this governor here in Oklahoma granted clemency. And we did that, but they actually signed an executive order saying that he will never be free, a political prisoner. And so we're still fighting for his freedom. And so when I think about what we're doing at the hyperlocal level, we're doing a lot, you know, being the lead advocacy group when it comes to these historic lawsuits that we've brought before this country for the 3 last known living survivors, for the Black Creeks, you know, in Oklahoma. For my case, we're the lead advocacy organization, making sure that people are aware of what's happening. And it's hard to absorb these blows, blow after blow after blow, dismissed, dismissed, dismissed. We'll get back with you in 7 days. We'll get back with you in 10 days. It's hard to play the waiting game. So we have to actually psych ourselves up and make sure that we cling on to that little bit of hope, knowing that there's a pathway to get something done. The gaslighting in Oklahoma is tremendous. The banning of books in Oklahoma and across this country is tremendous. The food deserts in Black Wall Street, tremendous. The school to prison pipelines embedded throughout our communities, tremendous. The lack of resources, redlining right here at the epicenter of Black wealth is tremendous. And all we're asking for is a little bit of repair, a little bit of solace, some respect and some restitution. And we can't get it. So I'm grateful for the community of activists across this country. I've worked at the state level and I've worked at the federal level, fighting to get some measure of police accountability through Congress, because they dismissed my brother's case saying, hey, we can't prove that she did that willfully. It's gonna take an act of Congress. So I went knocking down doors at Congress too, alongside, before George Floyd and Breonna Taylor was killed. I was there. I was there. And if they would have listened to me, George would still be alive, Breonna would still be alive. And so I found myself on Capitol Hill with the family of George Floyd and Eric Garner's family and Botham Jean's family, just to say that the bills are dead, when our loved ones are the ones who are dead. Just to hear and see how they play politics with if we live or die. Just to see every other race get reparations except for Black people in this country. It gets exhausting, but we cling on to the hope because we know that hopelessness is the enemy of justice. And so we're trying to create safe communities, communities free from racial violence and harm with the Terrence Crutcher Foundation. And when I think about a safe community and what that looks like, I often ask people, can you truly imagine a world without police, punishment, and prisons? And nobody can imagine it. We can't even dream. They say we need the police. And then I twisted and I asked them, okay, tell me about a time when you felt most safe. What did it look like? What did it feel like? What did it smell like? Close your eyes and dream with me. And some of the answers, David, that I'll hear is that I remember being at grandma's house. I remember being around family during Thanksgiving. I remember being on a beach and, flying to Paris and just being around community. And I never get an answer that says I feel safe when the police are around. So you really can imagine a world where community can take care of each other, where we can share resources and they're abundant, where our neighbors know one another. That is the world I want to see. That is the generational vision that we have casted here at the Crutcher Foundation for Terrence Jr. And when I close my eyes, I dream and I envision a world where Terrence Jr. can just simply walk outside free, and that he'll be able to play with a toy gun and not be killed and deemed a super predator like Tamir Rice. I close my eyes and I envision a world where Terrence can one day get his driver's license and drive freely and not be pulled over and shot dead because of a broken tail light, like Philando Castile. I dream about Terrence being able to grow up and get an apartment and eat a bowl of ice cream and not be killed because a cop goes into the wrong apartment and says he's the villain. He looked big and scary. I dream about a time where I can sit next to Terrence at night and play video games with my nephew and not be killed through a window because of a welfare check and because they thought they saw somebody like a Tatiana Jefferson. That is the dream that I have for Terrence and for all kids who look like him. And I believe that if we can't close our eyes and dream, then why are we here? And so I made a promise that I would fulfill Terrence's prophecy, my twin, the last words that he shared with me when we were celebrating our birthday on August 16th, that's coming up. He said, sis, I'm going back to school and I'm gonna make you proud. And his last words were, God is gonna get the glory out of my life. I didn't know what that meant, but now I understand that everything that we're doing across this country in the areas of justice and liberation and criminal justice and reparations is the proof. It's the living proof of his prophetic word. His blood has been a catalyst for change in this state. And we've been able to stretch people's belief to believe that their voices have power if they just speak up. And so has it been easy? No, it has not. But we have to keep moving. We have to keep going. And so again, that's just a high level overview. I would be here for hours telling you everything that we've done to be a model for the country here in Tulsa, to truly be a model. And the formula that we've created, we understand that we just can't do it alone, but to truly build community power through our organizing, which is the true heartbeat of our work, we know we have to have strategic partnerships that are in alignment with this generational vision. I can't say enough about our partners at the Legal Defense Fund, who's been with us from day one, 2016. I can't say enough about our partners at the Human Rights Watch, who's, has had a few transitions like Dreesen Heath and Jerry Johnson and John Rafling. And the Equal Justice Initiative, Brian Stevenson, who is a dear friend and mentor and a consultant for us here in Tulsa. And I can go down the long laundry list of people who's been with us from the very beginning and the beautiful relationships that we're continuing to develop, because I know that we're stronger together. But it's all about alignment, and it's all about values and principles, and being unapologetic and not going along to get along. We are unapologetic in our stance and our fight for justice. And so we deem ourselves as social justice practitioners. And I'm just grateful. I'm grateful tonight that you all, that you've seen me. And on September 16th, we will host our 7th anniversary of Terrence's death, honoring his life and the work that we've done in his name, to make sure that we never forget, because that African proverb says that your loved one never dies until you stop calling their name. And I promise you, people are going to get tired of hearing me call Terrence's name, and my great grandmother's name, and my mother's name, and the survivor's name. We will be here. And so I'll just pause there and turn it back to you, Josh and David. And again, I'm open for questions. Thank you all so much. I love you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Crutcher. That was very, very powerful. I really appreciate you coming and you sharing this with us. I understand how significant and important the work that you're doing and where you're coming from is. And specifically when you say, this is what Black August is about, keeping their names in our hearts, keeping our names high on our lips and loud, at the top of our lungs. That is how we keep our loved ones alive. As I do more and more of this work, I realize that how true that is. So I really appreciate you iterating that and really doing this. This means so much to so many people, and I want to just thank you, twice, so many times it's for what you're doing. Thank you. I want to leave the room open for questions. I don't want to dominate conversation. If people have things they want to drop, they want to put it in the chat, or they feel so inclined to unmute and speak. I want to encourage people to say it. Even if you don't have anything to say, if you just want to give some words of uplift and praise, I really encourage everyone to do that as well. I will just to kick that off. I will start. I want to really. I've looked a lot into your work around getting justice for people working in Tulsa, for people in Tulsa, as a result of the race riots, and trying to build a culture of reparations where you are. And I think that, as you pointed out, like, it is part of the same lineage, it's part of the same continuity. The work that you're doing around your brother and police victims of police brutality is directly related to justice for the Tulsa race riots and race riots like that. So I want to know, like, how do you connect that and how you keep building that continuity and that momentum when you're dealing with these historic tragedies, these historic injustices? How do you tie all those things together? I guess is my question.
Well, how do I tie them together? I mean, I guess they're tied together. You can't really separate what happened. Again, same police department, nothing has changed. And I think the deep connection with me is my family dealing with the trauma 100 years ago and still dealing with the same type of trauma. So I mean, the connections are there, and it's just, I'm grateful that we've had people sort of pass the baton, and that people understand that they have to actually carry the baton to pass it. And so they've been carrying this work for a long time. I think about Professor Charles Ogletree and, again, Eddie Faye Gates, Homer Johnson, Don Ross, Maxine Horner, so many people, who's done this work before me. I was just a baby, and didn't really learn about the race massacre. And I went to school on Black Wall Street at Carver Junior High. I went to Booker T, that was actually not harmed or damaged, that was right here in Black Wall Street, and didn't learn about it. And so I think it's vitally important to make sure that we continue to preserve the stories, because right now we're getting away from the stories. I encourage people to sit at the elders' feet. I've been intentional with sitting at the elders' feet, trying to collect these stories, like Mother Joyce and Mother Love here in our communities, who are historians. And I just love to sit on the phone and talk to them. And Mr. Jim Goodwin, I'll go sit in his office. Their descendants and their family had the Oklahoma Eagle, the Black newspaper. And so just sitting at their feet, making sure that we keep those stories preserved. And I wish I would have sat at my grandmother's feet, but she didn't really say a whole lot about it because she was forced into silence. There was a conspiracy of silence. They told people that if you talked about it, you would be next. And this is a common story throughout families and descendants. And so I wish I would have learned more. And so I've been digging, going through genealogy, just trying to find out about where I come from, because I believe that every Black person in this country deserves to know where they come from. And we have to be intentional with it, because if we don't, we know what's happening across this country with the banning of our history, the teaching of our history, and we have to match that energy. Like if they can go and say they don't want their kids to learn about this, we can go and match the energy and say, well, we want our kids to learn about it. And so I think that's important, that we, I mean, that's a part of, raising the voice and activating to make sure we affect change. And right now we're going through with our state superintendent of education, who all but said that, the race massacre, we don't need to say it was about race, and I'm paraphrasing, and that, white people aren't inherently racist. Bad people did things. And when we can't even acknowledge that a race massacre was about race, we're dealing with some crazy shit, excuse my French, some crazy stuff in Oklahoma. I hope you all can bleep that out like Jerry Springer.
If you want that, that's fine. But also, we want you to speak as truthfully and speak truth to power, however you like. We're not here. We're not in the business of censoring. We're not in the business of muting. We're here to uplift your voice in every aspect of it. I want to open it up. I'm looking at the chat and see if anyone had any questions. I also want to encourage people, if you have any questions, to unmute and say something or speak some words of uplift. I'm also going to point out that Dr. Crutcher dropped a link that everyone should check out to your website in the chat, and I'll make sure that gets accompanied with the promotion as well in the posts.
Oh, shout out to Aria. I see Aria Floran on the phone. Shout out LV in the house, my LV family. I just saw her name in the chat. Good to see you, or your name.
Hey, good to see you too. I'm sorry I'm not on video. I'm having a bunch of Wi-Fi issues. But thank you, as always, for telling us your story, Dr. Crutcher. It never stops stopping me in my tracks. Thank you.
Thank you for joining.
Yeah.
If I could offer some love and appreciation, no questions, because I do feel, there's a space of when you honor people's presence, when you honor their work, there's, something just about letting that relish and having, Dr. Crutcher have a moment to just receive without any strings attached, allow people to pour into her in the ways that she pours into her family, her community, by extension, the world, right? This has been the family tragedies that Dr. Crutcher has endured are stories that, I hear people repeating across the diaspora, even outside of the United States, right? And that's how impactful your work has been and will continue to be. And I just want to, honor and offer the utmost appreciation, which I try to do so on every occasion that I can, physical and spiritual and figurative flowers. But often, the quote that you just spoke about in the sacrifice of this work, right? You were already in service to your community, tending to the care of hundreds in Alabama, and to just totally reorient your life's track that has forced you in a position to do so. It's just valiant at best, but it's also, it says a lot about your character and what you're willing to put on the line, right? For not just yourself, but the community. And so a lot of people maybe not everybody is built for this work. Not everybody is built to sustain the work, right? We're talking about 7 years later, still kicking, but strengthening the work, right? Not staying idle in the midst of all types of obstacles, which some would say are insurmountable. Some would say some of the stuff that you've been able to do is impossible. And I think beneath that, though, the person, who is the person? And I'm just honored and revel every day that I've gotten to know the person that is Dr. Tiffany Crutcher, because not all the time does it connect that this is also a caring, a thoughtful, a fun, adventurous, witty human being, also behind this work that is willing to, also just share in other people's lives and call to check in on how you doing, even though she's in the midst of all the other things that she's doing. And so in this month, which I know is a month to celebrate, your birthday is also celebrating Terrence's birthday, but you also have all of these, other moments of grief and things that you're handling as best you can. And so I just, let this be known that there are opportunities where we do have to pause, mandatory of the work to pause and receive. And I hope today and for the rest of the days that you continue to pause and receive the love and care and appreciation that you deserve.
Thank you so much. I mean, Dreesen has me speechless, and I'm always witty. I always have a comeback, but I'm speechless right now. And Dreesen knows me. It's really hard for me to receive. I'm working on that. And so she has to like sneak things in. Like I'll be in New York at a conference and she'll just sort of vaguely ask, where are you staying? I walk in my room, there's fruit and a card. And I'm like, oh, it's from Dreesen. Or, we're in Tulsa. I look up, there's flowers on my desk. It's from Dreesen. And that's just who you are. You don't know those things I don't take for granted. And they do boost me. And you've been an energy boost for me through this trying journey. And I just want to thank you publicly. So love you so much.
Thank you for those kind words, Dreesen. Thank you for opening it up, for providing that uplift, because you're right. This is about celebrating you, Dr. Crutcher. It's about, I think that's also sometimes it does get lost in these events where we want to really, encourage folks to follow and promote and to, just celebrate. Yeah, celebrate's a great word for it. Celebrate, people who are amazing, people who are, doing amazing work, necessary work, life-giving, reparative work. That's what you've been, doing and been up to. And that's what we wanted to recognize. So, I want to encourage people again. Cash App is in the chat. Like I said, we'll make sure this gets passed around. We'll pass around the virtual hat as you will. My life as an organizer, I'm constantly just passing around the hat. That's how I think it's done, and that's how work like yours is, supported. So I'm dropping that again. I just want to thank you from me personally, and from Truth Telling Project. We just want to thank you for, joining us, for being open to receiving this kind of praise from us. You know, I'm glad we can be a part of that for you, and because you deserve all the flowers. We got to give our flowers to our people while they're here, you know, and uplift our people while they're here. So thank you. Thank you again. Okay, dope. And thank you for dropping that link as well.
Dr. Crutcher, I just wanted to let you know that I'm so sad that I'm not going to be able to make it to the gala. I actually have 2 baby showers on that day. Close friends of mine on the East Coast. And so I don't think it's going to be possible to get out in time, but I'm going to be sending you so much love, and just in general, hope it's a really, really great event.
Absolutely. Thank you for even considering it. I appreciate it. So we're a little behind the 8 ball, but we're working hard to catch up and, you know, get this done. So thank you so much. I'm not sure if Trevor or Jenny is coming, but feel free, everybody. We want you
Yeah.
there.
So I think Trevor is definitely coming, and I think Jenny is probably coming. And we've also been toying with some other ideas too that I will let them share with you, because I think we haven't landed. But basically, we wondered if it would be okay if we invited some more people, like basically all of our funders.
Yeah, if they're gonna fund, I'm totally for that. I want the funders to fund.
Right. That's the only thing that we felt a little bit, because we want to invite them, but of course don't know how they're gonna respond and react. And so didn't want to promise anything because we don't know, but wanted to create the opportunity for them. So I think Trevor and Jenny will reach out about that soon, but that's coming. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure.
Amazing. That's amazing. And of course, all of you all are welcome to come to Tulsa and hang out with us. We plan to do a day of service earlier that day, just, you know, for the community, make sure that we show our appreciation for everyone who may not be able to make the gala or may not want to come, but just to make sure that we're serving our community and allowing them to sort of partake in this weekend. So, and then of course the gala will be later that evening.
Yeah, I saw that in the. I was looking at the program and I was looking at the different information it had available. I was actually kind of curious about that service, like what that looks like and like what like those programs are, and what other programs, like specific things, the foundation was doing. Because I would love to get. You're right. I'd love to come to these galas, but I also think you're right that like this, it's going to be out there in the community doing, you know, like other things as well that tie into the celebration. So I was just curious, what is the service project for this year, and what have been the service projects for previous years?
Yeah, well, when the pandemic hit, we decided to do a day of service in lieu of the gala, because, you know, we didn't want to, you know, I lost my mother to COVID during the pandemic. And so definitely didn't want to, you know, spread that. So we started with, of course, there were a lot of people displaced from shelters. And so we helped sort of open up an emergency shelter, did a cookout outside for our unsheltered neighbors, did a comfort care drive. And I mean, it was just amazing. We did a concert for them at the shelter, and we presented the Mental Health Association of Oklahoma with the $10,000 check just to kind of get a transport van. And I mean, you know, giving and serving is a part of our healing journey. And so we did that. The next year we did COVID clinic and helped, what did we do? That was one year. Another year we did a big water drive for Jackson, Mississippi, and was able to ship water to Jackson. And so this year we're partnering with the organization out of Los Angeles called It's Bigger Than Us. And they're bringing people down, and they're actually going to take that stress off of me. They said, we don't want you doing anything. We want you to focus. We want you to just rest, enjoy family and friends. And so they're getting all of these resources. It's going to be a resource fair, dental kits, just food, everything. So we're just giving to the community because there's such a need. We'll have a stage, music, food trucks, give out food, you know, just to show our appreciation for the community who's walked alongside us on this journey. So it'll be more, you know, outreach and just giving, and a resource fair to let people know what's out here and what resources are available for them. So we'll need all hands on deck.
Word, that is incredible. That is such a robust, like comprehensive, like, you know, and also just like fun and like nourishing like program that y'all have developed there. That was so needed, like in a time when, you know, things are really rough. You go there and they turn into this, you know, this joyous, you know, occasion now. That's really inspiring to see. And it's also something that, you know, gives people material help. And that's so hard to accomplish. That's so hard to, you know, have going. You were going and it's going strong. So I just, that's amazing. I'm nothing but praise for that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I will say that one of my goals is to not to have to need the Terrence Crutcher Foundation and for it to like cannibalize. That's the ultimate goal. Like I hate that it started. So we want to get to a point, and that's why that generational vision is so important. And so we want to go from fighting to thriving at some point. When we get to a point where we're not just fighting every day, but we're creating opportunities for people to thrive. And so I think really buying that property, that building, will hopefully get us to a point where we can, you know, self-fund our community and get back to cooperative economics where the money circulates in our community 18 to 20 times to 30 times before it leaves the neighborhood. And so that's the ultimate goal, where we create jobs, we create opportunity. So we're going to go from fighting to thriving. That's part of the vision.
From fighting to thriving. Ashe, I'm here for that. Now, I mean, we've got like 10 minutes left. Usually we wrap around 8. And I want to give some space for if Dave wanted to say anything or if anyone else wanted to say anything. But if you want to, you know, take this time to like say anything that, like, you know, like a message you really want to impart to people, you know, something that you really want to, like, people to carry on to in the next year, you know, from the work that you're doing and from like the vision that you have. This is space to kind of like to get into that if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't have anything else to add because I'll go into another sort of rant, but I will say that just, you know, my message is for people to just be true to your values that you actually put on paper. You know, a lot of times we flex and we reframe and we recalibrate just to make sure that we're appeasing status quo. Be willing to lose some relationships. Be willing to lose some funding, to stand for what's righteous and what's just. And that's what I've done. Like, I will do whatever I have to do to get it done, even if we have to pool our resources together, but just stay true to your values and your principles and not just let them be principles on paper that look pretty, but be able to walk those principles and values out. You know, I don't listen to a lot of lip work. It's all about the footwork. And I tell people that we need to learn how to be fruit inspectors, because, you know, if you're a person of faith, there's a scripture that says they will know you by the fruit that you bear. And you can't really say you're an apple tree if you haven't produced any apples. And so what I do is I inspect the fruit that people are bearing and the actions and the work and what they're doing. And so a lot of people, they talk, they look good, they sound good, they create things, but are you truly serving something greater than yourself? And so my thing is, what are you willing to serve that's greater than you? And so that's my message to everybody. Stay true to your principles and your values.
Ashe. Thank you. Thank you. That was really meaningful. Um, I really appreciate you taking the time once again just to speak to us all, just to come and to talk about all the things you've been working up to. We deeply admire you. We deeply support you. We deeply want to see you thrive and see you continue this work. So I want to again, I really want to harp. The Cash App is in the chat. It's going to be promoted. We want to support you all throughout the month, all throughout Black August. And we're going to keep it up the heat turned up for all the other kind of projects that you're doing, and keeping on as much pressure and support as we can on that. We'll be doing that throughout the month, and we really want to, if you have anything for us or for this group you want us to share, please send it to us. We will always promote everything you do outside of just this month, outside of just this year. As long as we're in this fight together, we will support and provide as much cooperation and collaboration as we can. That's what we're here for. That's what I definitely sync with you on that thing you said about you want to see this work, cannibalized. You want to see it become obsolete, unnecessary, right?
Yes.
That is the dream. Is to dual power, to move out of it, even needing this, to become self-sufficient, to start building that cooperative economics where we are taking care of ourselves, keeping the money and that care focus on us, so we can build something that is actually reparative. That's so important. That's so important, and sometimes that doesn't get added to our analysis. I really appreciate you bringing that. That is crucial. That is how we get free. So I want to leave the floor open just for everyone else to say closing words, and then if not, I know Dave might want to say something, and I will have my closing words that I'll say. Well, I don't want to stop out if David's not going to be on there, but it's usually sometimes he'll have to say a word or something like that. But that's all right. We have, we've had a really full, event here, and I really appreciate you once again for, joining us. I say that to you, say it to everyone who shows up. I hope that with this award we can continue to uplift the work that you're doing and get you the shine that you deserve. So I just want to speak to you, to the ancestors, to the elders who have been empowering this work. As you say, we gotta sit at the feet of our elders when we do this. So as to say, I guess the really only ending I can say is thank you, and we appreciate you so much. We'll be promoting you all Black August, and thank you for being a part of us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for this platform. I appreciate all you do.
Thank you. Ashe. Much blessings to y'all. Thank you to everyone who showed up. I appreciate y'all, and we will see you rest of this month and into the next year.
Good
Be
night.
well. Good night.